Hello everyone. Rachel McLove here from Empire Tax Professionals. As many of you know, I'm the CEO of Empire Tax Professionals. I'm also a licensed enrolled agent, licensed by the IRS, and a federal tax practitioner. Just wants to go live and share lots of business tax tips for business owners out there and individuals. If you're coming on live, let me know. Say hi, please, just so I could see you. Let me know what state you're in and etc. So as you guys are coming on, I want to go live and I want to share a lot of, tax tips to help you get ready for tax season. It's February. Lots of people are thinking about tax returns, getting their bookkeeping done, and you really need to start getting ready for tax season because the more you delay, the more mistakes are going to happen and you're just going to rush into things. And as you know, when you rush into things, you don't get things done the right way. So tip number one is, this is one of the most important tips that I really want to help a lot of business owners, is making sure you get your bookkeeping up to date, okay? So there are a lot of people that own corporations, they own businesses, and they don't have their books up to date. And this one thing helps them, it hurts them overpaying taxes over the years because they're not really keeping track of their income and expenses. Hey everyone, let me know where you're coming from, or just say hi. I'm just sharing lots of tax tips to help business owners get ready for tax season. So as I was mentioning, bookkeeping is the number one thing. A lot of you own businesses and you really want to make sure that you're keeping track of your bookkeeping. So first things first is you want to make sure that you have a software. Second thing is you want to make sure that you have all of your bank accounts, all of your credit card accounts into QuickBooks, and every single account is reconciled. So you want to make sure every single thing is reconciled, every single expense is legally deducted. I've seen bookkeepers not deduct expenses such as, ATM withdrawals. They may assume it's personal. A lot of times it's not personal, and a lot of bookkeepers are really lazy. They don't ask business owners and they don't say, hey, I see a $500 ATM withdrawal. What is this? What is this? Is it a moving expense? Did you pay somebody, to I don't know, for flyers or whatever? Even if you pay something in cash, it's still tax deductible. You just need to have that communication with your bookkeeper to make sure you are properly deducting every single expense. Okay, so a lot of you may not have your bookkeeping up to date. So you fall into two specific categories. One would be either you need to get your bookkeeping cleaned up or you need to get your bookkeeping caught up, which means you probably did it yourself. You're not really sure if you did it right or if you didn't do it right. And you just need someone to make sure that every single account is reconciled, all of your credit cards are in it. And we have a detailed checklist to make sure that everything is cleaned up. The second thing is you probably did 3 months and you completely forgot about it, or you had multiple bookkeepers in your bookkeeping system and now you need somebody to go review it and make sure that it is cleaned up and it is caught up. So if you fall in that category, you want to make sure that you hire the right person. So a lot of bookkeepers, they just know bookkeeping. They know how to categorize every single expense in the proper category, but they don't understand what's legally tax deductible. They don't know how to deduct expenses. And I've seen bookkeepers a lot of times and they get confused, they get lost, and a lot of times they say, ask your accountant. So it's always best to hire an accounting firm to really do all of your bookkeeping. The second tip is make sure that you file all your 1099s timely. The 1099 deadline has passed. The deadline was January 31st. And if you pay any single individual more than $600, you're required to give them a 1099. But a lot of business owners are coming to us and they say, I don't know who I paid more than $600. Your accountant would be able to classify every single individual, or whoever needs to be issued a 1099, they would classify it in your bookkeeping system, such as subcontractors, and then detail every single person that needs to get a 1099. And then your accountant should say, hey, these are the 5 or 10 people that we need a W-9 form. Go ahead, get the W-9 form, and then we will issue 1099s to them at the end of the year, or by January 31st. It is so important to get 1099s or W-9s actually as a business owner, so you can issue 1099s contractors timely, because if you try to deduct an expense and you did not issue a 1099, that's a huge red flag. We're seeing a lot of business owners that they didn't have, they either don't have the time, or a lot of times they try to get the W-9 forms and then the contractors are no longer available and they don't know what to do. So normally you can't deduct that expense because the IRS says as soon as you deduct an expense, somebody needs to pay taxes on it. Somebody needs to pick it up as an expense, and it has to be a wash. If you're deducting the expense and somebody's really not reporting the income, that's going to be a problem, and that's a huge red flag. So bookkeeping is really the most important aspect of filing your tax returns. It has to be so accurate. It has to be really, every single account has to be reconciled, and only then you would be prepared to file your corporate returns. The next thing is corporate returns are due March 15th. So you want to make sure that you have your bookkeeping done ASAP, let's say by the end of February, so you have enough time to find an accountant, or we could of course help you. And it takes a lot of time to interview the proper accountants. You want to make sure that they're licensed. You want to make sure that the fees are right. They have a team. There's so many specific things that you want to make sure before you hire an accounting firm. I know a lot of accountants, they say they're licensed or they're certified, and they are not. It's very scary. So you want to make sure, or they're probably licensed in a different country. So you got to be really careful, who you're asking and what you're asking, and have it all in writing. Make sure when you're interviewing someone, you could interview them on Zoom, and then you're also emailing them and say, hey, just want to confirm, number one, that you're licensed, you have a team. There are a few questions. I have like top 7 questions that you should ask your accountants before you even hire them. Make sure you have all the fees up front. Everything is discussed in advance. You always review the returns before they file it, and they have a team. Having a team is one of the most important things, because a lot of times accountants, they travel and they're not available after April 15th. And then you get emails and they're not available. So what do? So you want to make sure that your accountant is available all year round, or at least their team is available for you. So once the bookkeeping is complete, you file those 1099s timely, then you're ready to file your corporate returns. You found your proper accountant, you're ready to file those corporate returns. You have a week about to review them. You want to make sure you review your income and you're reviewing the details of your expenses. I personally recommend for you to print out your tax returns, because this is it's like buying a home. You don't want to overpay on interest or overpaying on your home, right? You want to make sure that you're not overpaying in taxes, because it will hurt you in the long run. Not only that, if one thing is wrong, the IRS will send you a CP 2000 notice if you forgot an income, forgot to report something, or if you forgot to, I don't know, you just don't want to have any issues. I would highly recommend printing your tax return. That's what I do. I'm an accountant, so whatever, but I recommend every single business owner to print their returns and go over line by line and say, I don't understand what this number is, or I don't know where this expense came. Maybe there was a miscommunication between you and your accountant. You want to really dive in, and maybe there's like an expense on there that you even forgot to give your accountant. Dive in and take a few hours to make sure that this is filed accurately and the right way, so you don't need to spend hours later because you forgot something. So file your corporate returns. Once you approve, you tell your accountant you approve it. Make sure you ask them, how much do you need to pay for federal and for multiple states. If you have multiple states, you want to make sure you have everything in writing, because a lot of accountants may say, like over the phone, you got a refund of $5,000. And now you may get a letter from the IRS 6 months later saying you owe $3,000. So now you could refer back to that email and have everything documented. Have a specific folder just for your tax returns, and keep it, really organized. When you're really organized and keep all of your documents and really have one accountant help you, you just save so much time, energy, and headache. So again, you file your corporate returns, you reviewed it, printed it out, reviewed it, signed it, you know exactly what your refunds are, or you know exactly how much you owe. If you owe, make sure you have backup and documentation that you paid it. How did you pay it? Because again, the IRS is a complete mess. I am telling you, they are a complete mess. You may say, I mailed the check April 15th or April 1st because you want to make sure they have enough time to process your check. A month later, you may say, they may send you a letter, a letter with penalties and interest because they never got your check. So if you send out a check April 1st, you want to make sure like within a month, put it on your calendar within 4 to 6 weeks saying, did the IRS actually cash your check? Because if they didn't, then now you know what to do versus 3 months later, you're going to get another bill and you owe the tax plus penalties and interest. You do not want that, okay? So if you send out a check, take a picture of it, confirm that you sent it out, make it certified. I personally do not recommend mailing checks or never, mail out money orders ever. You make the payment online, you have a documentation, you keep the proof of the confirmation in that folder, in the 2019 folder, 2021 folder, whatever year that is, and you just keep it organized. I never send anything to the IRS by mail, only because there are a lot of times they're so sloppy. They may rip the check, they may misplace the check with the social, and it's just a mess. You do not want to increase errors in your processing. So once you file your returns, you know exactly what your refunds are. Again, same exact thing with your refunds. If you're expecting a refund, 4 to 6 weeks, put it on your calendar. Did you get your refund? If you did, you obviously remove it. If you didn't, then you push it off because the IRS is behind. But at least you have it on your to-do list that you have a confirmation that the IRS took the payment or they issued you a refund. Next is once you file your corporate returns timely and you have proof of e-filing. So a lot of accountants say they e-filed their tax returns, but you don't have a confirmation. As a client, I highly recommend getting a confirmation either from the accountant or, from the IRS if you're filing it online. Hopefully you're not, because then you're really going to overpay in taxes. But if you do file your returns with an accountant, you want to make sure that you get a confirmation that it was filed. We have a lot of clients that come to us from different accountants and they say they got a notice, the accountant is MIA. It happens so many times. And their accountant is no longer available, but their accountant said that they filed the returns. How do you really know your returns were filed? You want to get a confirmation from the IRS saying your return was filed February 14th. This is the DCN number, which is the confirmation number. And you want to have some backup that it was filed on time, because if you don't file your returns on time, there are failure to file penalties and there are failure to pay penalties, plus there's interest on both. So you really want to make sure that you have a confirmation that the returns were filed. Now you're moving over from the corporation side, because that's complete. Now you're ready to prepare your individual returns. As you start preparing your individual returns, you need to look at, where did you work, what W-2s you have, if your partnerships anywhere. You want to make sure you have your K-1s, any 1099s if you have a small business, any rental income. All of that, you just need to, again, organize all your tax documents, find, the tax documents from your spouse. Make sure you collect everything. If you have any additional children, don't forget to let your accountant know or let us know that you had a new child. You need to get the birth certificate, the social security. We would need the name, last name, date of birth, and, if it's a boy or a girl, whatever, there's specific information that we need. To add that child to the return. There's so many times that I've seen clients come to me and they said, oh my God, my accountant forgot to add their third child or their fourth child. And that's just crazy. That's just such a, messy mistake. So you want to make sure that, that you tell your accountant, hey, I had another child, and make sure they report it. The other thing is daycare expenses. You want to make sure that you're deducting your daycare expenses. You would need to file a 2441 form, which the accountant knows. You need to give the accountant the name of the daycare, the tax ID, or if it's an individual, a social, the address, and how much you paid per child. They're going to let you know. So don't forget about daycare expenses, because it does help you increase your refund or reduce your liability. Other things you would need, capital gains. If you invested in stock or if you sold any stock, you would need that as well. Okay. So let's just see. What else? Okay, so if you have a Schedule C, which means that you have like a side business, such as, tutoring business or babysitting business or an Amazon business, any business on the side, you want to make sure that you're deducting every single expense to reduce your taxable liability. You could deduct your home office expenses, your car expenses, Obviously, any other expenses related to your business, such as your advertising, office supplies, phone bill, internet, a bunch of other expenses. And I've spoken to so many business owners and they say, my accountant never told me that I could deduct these expenses. Oh my God, I have a list of tax deductions that you are able to legally deduct, because if it's ordinary and necessary for your business, you are able to deduct those expenses. If you are a pizza shop and obviously you need cheese or rent, you are able to deduct those expenses. If you are a marketing agency and you travel for work and you need to travel to all these conferences, your airline, your conferences, the software, all of these expenses are legally deductible, and it helps you reduce your tax bill. A lot of people don't deduct these expenses because they don't know, and what you don't know will cost you thousands. And it's not just 1 year, it's every single year moving forward. So you want to really be smart with your money. You want to be intentional with your money. And as Tony Robbins says, where your intention goes, where your energy goes, money flows. So you want to make sure that you're really intentional about everything. For the individual, you're going to get W-2s, 1099s, NECs, which is like non-employee compensation. You may get 1099 interest. If you get like interest from your bank, you guys need to make sure that you get those 1099 interest forms from the banks. If you have, even if it's like more than $5, $10, you need to make sure, because the IRS will send you a notice saying, oh, you forgot to report this. And now you need to sometimes amend the New York State return or your state return, depending on what state you are. And it becomes a headache. You do not want to do that. So sometimes filing a little bit later makes more sense, because you want to make sure that you have all of your documents and you file on time with, you file a complete return accurately. Your 1099B, like you're going to get your, if you sold any stocks, that's the form that you're going to get. Make sure you give that to your accountant. 1099R, if you had any distributions from your IRA, make sure you report that, because you do need to pay taxes. It really depends. If it's like an early distribution, you may need to pay taxes. Even if it's a rollover, it's just for informational purposes only, and you want to make sure that you report that on your return. One document can mess everything up, and you just want to make sure everything is accurate. Don't forget your mortgage interest, your real estate taxes, like I said earlier, your daycare expenses, your student loan interest, and so much more. The last thing is, as you file you get your bookkeeping done, your corporate returns out of the way, your individual returns out of the way, now you're really ready for the rest of the year and you could enjoy your summer. But if you're making money, I would say more than $15K on a monthly basis or $20K, and you're growing really fast, you want to make sure that you're thinking about having a virtual CFO working with you. And I speak to a lot of business owners who say, I do my bookkeeping once a year, I file my taxes once a year, meaning the estimated taxes, or they process payroll, and they don't even process payroll. If you are an S Corp and you're making about $20K on a monthly basis, at least you should have a virtual CFO. And that's what we do. A virtual CFO gives you, bookkeeping, your monthly bookkeeping reports every single month, where you see what you're making on gross income, the details of your expenses, so you don't need to do your bookkeeping. Not only that, if you're an S Corp, which most business owners are, because it's the best entity usually, you need to make sure that you are paying yourself a reasonable salary. Now, if you don't pay yourself a reasonable salary, the IRS may audit you and tell you what your reasonable salary should be. So if I see business owners paying themselves $20K a year or $30K a year, and it doesn't make any sense, the IRS will audit you and change your salary to what the normal salary should be. So can you really pay somebody $20K a year if you're working about 40 hours a week? It doesn't make sense. They're going to do a study saying, okay, what college did you go to? How much are you really worth? And if you really paid yourself $50K and you're really worth $100K, they will increase your salary and you will end up overpaying, or not overpaying, but you will end up paying taxes, penalties, and interest, just because of that line 7 on the corporate return was zero, or it was extremely low. Sometimes doing it, increasing your reasonable compensation will reduce your risks of audit. But again, it depends. This is something that you don't want to guess, because I had a client who's a business owner. He was just a regular business owner. he wasn't making that much. He was like making maybe 15K a month, and he was paying himself 10K a month in payroll. Wow, that's a lot of money. He would have been okay if he paid 5 to 6K on a monthly basis. He overpaid himself and thought that he was doing the right thing. Again, who did he ask? Himself. Who did he, he Googled it, called a payroll company, and they process payroll. But do they really give you any guidance? A lot of business owners are missing that guidance, that piece that, say, hey, Rachel, this is how much money I'm making. This is my net. How much should my payroll be? What should my estimated taxes be? And there's guidance. We work together with you versus you just working on your own and you're just hoping that you're doing things right. So back to what I was saying, what we do for business owners, we do monthly payroll, monthly bookkeeping, help you calculate the reasonable compensation for your business, sales tax, file your payroll returns, file 1099s, file your corporate returns, file your individual returns, help you calculate your estimated tax payments, and so much more. We literally call the IRS if you get a notice, state, etc. I could give you details of the virtual CFO services. A lot of times it starts at about $550 to $600 a month, depending on where you are in your business, and it could be higher. We have clients paying us, thousands of dollars on a monthly basis because they have employees, they have multiple locations, etc. So you want to make sure that if you're making 15 to 20K on a monthly basis, you hire a virtual CFO who can help you with everything. It's like an entire accounting department helping you, giving you guidance, working with you, and making sure that you're literally saving the most money in taxes, because you could reinvest that into property, you could reinvest that into probably working even a lot less, or even travel. So having the right accountant is so crucial. The other thing is that I want to share is I speak to a lot of business owners who are the wrong entity. If you're a sole proprietor, you want to make sure that you speak to an accountant to see if that's the right entity. Actually, it's no entity. A sole proprietor is the highest risk of audit. You are not protected and you're paying the most taxes. And again, a lot of people don't know that. Same thing with single member LLCs. You are protected with the single member LLC, but you are overpaying in taxes because the IRS doesn't consider, they call single member LLC a disregarded entity, and you're overpaying in taxes if you're a single member LLC, not taxed as an S Corp. So there's just a lot of things that go into accounting where you're just bleeding money every single year because of the information that business owners don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. And I've actually had a lot of clients that I've spoken to that are in their 50s or are in their 60s, and they have this deep regret that they overpaid by thousands of dollars. And I remember this guy in my office, he said, he was like 55 or something, I don't remember. And he's like, I'm going to be working until 70. And he had like $150,000 or a $200,000 tax bill. And he was a single member LLC. And I said, do you want to be an S Corp? He's like, yes, I'm going to be working till I'm 70. And it was just, holy crap. Holy crap. He was the wrong entity. His accountant never told him that he needed to change his entity. And he overpaid in taxes by so many years. The IRS is not going to say, hey, you just overpaid me by $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. It is your responsibility to choose the right accountant to help you legally reduce your taxes. They give you the book, they give you the publication, and you need to just, utilize the tax loopholes legally to your advantage. But sometimes you may not know everything, so you want to make sure that you speak to an accountant who asks you the right questions, reviews, your entity selection, reviews your bookkeeping, reviews how many kids you have, what state you're in. Maybe moving to Puerto Rico may make sense for you, or moving to Florida like me makes sense for you. It really depends. There's so many different options, possibly hiring your kids, or there's so many a lot of options to help you legally reduce your taxes. But if you don't know, you don't know. And if you do it yourself, most likely you're overpaying in taxes. And hiring a virtual CFO is really not that expensive. It usually pays for itself. I remember my coach once said, there are 3 resources that you have as a business owner. One is time, and we don't have enough time. We want to utilize it so we can focus on the biggest ROI, right, tasks. And and then obviously your family, and you want to have peace of mind. You want to, you know, spend time in your personal life. Second is energy. There are a lot of tasks that take a lot of energy, and sometimes it doesn't make sense for you to do things that you're not an expert in, so you want to make a lot of money and delegate it out. And the third thing is time, energy, and your money. So if you're going to really utilize time, energy, and money, you want to make sure that it's really giving you a very big ROI. And if it's taking a lot of your time, a lot of your money and energy, that's a problem. Because when I don't have enough energy, I will not do these videos. I will not make more money. If people are taking a lot of time, like a lot of tasks are taking a lot of like low-level tasks, it doesn't make any sense. So doing your bookkeeping on your own, doing taxes on your own, learning the publication, if you're a business owner that's not in the business of tax and accounting, makes absolutely no sense. You focus on sales, marketing, and thinking big. Literally taking time to think is a high-level task. That's what I do a lot. I literally read books and I think about what can I do to optimize my business? What can I do to expand it? Who do I need to hire? And there's so many things that go through my mind. I don't even do my own bookkeeping. I delegate it out and I review my numbers to make sure everything is properly accurate. So you want to make sure that you know, you're doing everything the right way. You're saving the most money in taxes, and you're hiring the right people who are licensed by the IRS, licensed in 50 states, and who you can trust. Plus, the key thing is they need to have a team. So we have over, I think 20, I don't even know, 20, 25 people working for us. Amazing, amazing, great team. Lots of enrolled agents, I think 2 or 3. Some people are in the process of passing their exams. So you want to make sure that you have the proper people on your team who can help you save. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to get your taxes done, let us know as well. And I could actually put a quote form below to get started, or an email, and just PM me if you have any questions. I'm always here to help you. Thank you everybody so much, and have a beautiful Valentine's Day. Bye guys.